Bring Her Back is a nightmarish portrait of grief, trauma, and toxic relationships. Yet there's really only 3 characters in this worth talking about, and the creepy Ollie kid isn't one of them.
Bring Her Back described in 3 words: harrowing, traumatic, and fun.
The first is Laura. She's a grief-stricken foster parent that takes in 2 kids after they discover their father is dead in a shower. The second character, Andy, a nearly 18-year-old boy who is dealing with the mixed emotions of his father passing. And last but not least, the third is a partially blind girl, Piper, who Laura has a strange obsession with. But let's start with Andy. There's a lot to unpack with Andy. At first, he kind of comes across as this overprotective brother who's telling little white lies to his sister Piper in order to keep her happy. However, he's a deeply troubled kid hiding a lot of baggage from everyone around him. Immediately, he's met with the horrific burden of finding his father dead in the shower, something that would be incredibly difficult for anyone to handle, much less a 17-year-old kid with a history of abuse from his father. To put it simply, Andy was his father's punching bag, as we learn later in the film. His dad would turn the shower on to cover the noise of him beating Andy, a dark attempt to cloud his abuse from Piper. Naturally, a mostly blind little girl is going to get more attention and love than a perfectly healthy young boy, something you see unfortunately all too often. It's the people that seem perfectly fine and happy that don't get the love they probably need because they are better at hiding it. So Andy would lash out at school to be seen, which only got him beat more. Andy's a difficult character because he's so relatable. We all know somebody like that, and maybe it was us. Maybe we had a sibling that was the favorite child, which led us to be resentful of them and the attention they got. Or maybe your parents were too busy to give you the love that you needed, which led you to plummet your own grades or break the rules in order to get noticed or to feel the love that you should have gotten anyway. That's Andy. In the place of his dead father, Andy becomes something of a father figure to his sister, guiding her hands to walls and new places, or keeping close to her in case something happens. Yet through all of this, Andy loses his own needs in the shuffle for Piper's needs, forming a codependent relationship that leaves Andy with nothing but regret and pain.
Is this my new sister and brother, Oliver? Oliver lost his family just like you guys.
Of course, Piper's disability has led pretty much everyone in her life to treat her differently than everybody else, as her father would give her more attention than Andy, and Andy would shield her from the more unsavory parts of her life, like 3 little brats making fun of how she looks, or what her father looks like in a coffin. Even when she moves into her new foster mother's house, Laura treats her as if she's God's gift to the earth. The reason for this becomes more clear as we move forward. However, the relationship between Piper and Andy is the vital piece of the film. Piper uses Andy almost as a crutch, and Andy only tells Piper what he thinks she wants to hear. Even after they use their code word, grapefruit, neither are as honest as they should be. The point of this code word is to be used whenever they feel like the other is holding something back. It's a symbol of trust between these two that is broken when Andy lies about what he sees at his father's funeral. He can't look at his dead dad and tells Piper he looks great, even after she grapefruits him. She finds out about this little lie, and that trust between them is broken, pushing her further into the arms of Laura. Since her whole life has been essentially given to her by everyone she knows, Piper trusts very easily, but breaking that trust is the one thing she can't stand. It's her only system for judging people. Sure, she can hear them and feel them, but she can't read them. And that loss of time, place, and body language leads her to rely heavily on her own trust of them, something that Laura knows and exploits.
Love Sally Hawkins and felt so honored to be able to work with her.
Laura is a wicked bitch, no lie. She preys on Andy's insecurities and Piper's trust issues to create this smoke screen around her actions, clouding the perception of both Piper and Andy to her true motivations, which is sick and twisted, but somewhat understandable. Let me explain. Laura's entire goal is to separate the 2 kids. Knowing that she wouldn't get Piper without Andy, she allows the 2 to come into her house and then slowly and methodically tears them apart. And it's not particularly hard. Given that Andy is troubled beyond words, she uses his violent past to pretend as if nothing has changed, and even uses his father's death as a means to prove his instability. Of course, in doing this, she destabilizes him and tries to have him removed from her house to carry out her nasty, wicked deeds. Then, to push the two of them apart, she pays attention to the little white lies that Andy tells Piper and subtly brings them up around her to erode her trust in him. It's a sinister and sneaky game she plays to break them up, and it works. Two young kids fresh off the worst day of their lives are easy to manipulate. Who knew?
Listen. Listen.
They are everywhere in this movie. Laura draws them around the house, on her weird other kid Ollie, and even on the window with her own blood, symbolizing two things. The first being that water circle you draw around an ant, and then watch furiously try to get around it. That's symbol number one, the feeling of being trapped. Then there's symbol number two, the cycle of violence and trauma. The circle literally and figuratively trapping the kids where they are in a circle of violence and trauma. A great example is Andy being beaten by his father to him taking out his anger on Piper when he was young. That circle of violence repeated itself. The same goes for Laura. She lost her daughter to drowning and now is attempting to bring her back.
We can bring her back.
By doing the same thing to another person. It's in these circles or cycles that life is the most difficult. How can you break away? How can one not act out when their father beats them? How can you stop this cycle from repeating itself? And I think the simple answer the film gives is through love. Sure, it sounds a little corny, and if you apply this to a sci-fi film about a man in a black hole, it is corny.
Love towards love.
However, in an incredibly dark, bleak film about abuse, the ray of hope is love and allowing love to once again enter you. Everyone in this has completely shut themselves off from love, thinking that they will once again be hurt, just like a circle. Laura misses her daughter so desperately, she hasn't moved on and seems to believe the only thing to fill her emptiness is what she lost, regardless of what it takes. Only when she sees Piper as her own daughter does she stop. Then there's Andy, a child abused by his own father for simply wanting the love his father didn't give him, ultimately making things right with his sister as he comes to terms with his own trauma, loving her unconditionally by telling her the full truth, no longer shielding her from the dark reality of their lives or their father's behavior, allowing Piper to finally see, no pun intended, the entire tapestry. It's the love her brother has for her that ultimately allows her to move past the circle of violence, and it's the love Laura has for her daughter that stops her from committing even more harm. The only real way to heal from pain or grief or guilt or trauma or shame or any of these very negative emotions is through love, and specifically through the love of people you love. But even then, these people in your life could easily not understand that you're struggling, because if you're like Andy, you hide it very, very well. I know that I'm like that to some degree. I'm very good at just kind of bottling things up. So people might not know if I'm struggling or if I'm not. So you need to tell them. You need to tell the people that you love that you're struggling, because if they truly love you, they will give you that love that you desperately need. And that is what the point of Bring Her Back is. Outside of the crazy gore and horror and spine-tingling eeriness, it's about love.